Now, I noticed that the Doak Walker watch list came out, and for Iowa's backfield situation that you have covered for us here, and the relative equal or perceived equal competition there between maybe three backs, it's kind of interesting that Leshon Williams was selected as the candidate.
Well, we'll say he is the starter right now. I mean, barring something unforeseen, I think I do think he's Iowa's best back. I agree with apparently how Kirk and Tim Lester feel on that, and probably I would guess Liddell Betts. I agree. I think he's their most complete back. I think he's got the best combined speed, agility, vision, patience. He's also more experienced than the other guys, although Caleb and Jazz have had plenty of experience. And Mark, I think it's a four-man top right now. I think honestly, it sounds like you have 1+3. And Jazz wasn't even listed on the preseason depth chart. You had Kamari Moulton, second-year guy, listed in front of Jazz Patterson. So assuming they're all healthy, I think you have more of a 1+3 format, maybe even a 1+2+1 format. We'll see. But it sounds like Caleb Johnson and Kamari Moulton have been neck and neck. And I think Kamari's going to play a lot. I made a comment here to somebody the other day that I don't know if everybody on this team and staff is as high on Caleb Johnson as many in the fan base have been over the last 2 years, because Caleb Johnson's this big, impressive looking back. He's got really good speed when he gets in the open field. And we've talked about some of his struggles. I think there's a perception because of what you see. And if you're like building, we're all about this new college football 25 game. If you're building a custom player, a custom running back, I think a lot of people would build one like Derrick Henry. And, it's hard to find a 6'3" running back with that type of speed and burst. But Caleb Johnson is as close as Iowa's had to having that physical specimen at tailback as long as I've been watching Iowa. Even more than a guy like Sean Green. Sean Green won that big. So I think fans want him to be something that so far he hasn't shown himself to be. Not saying that the staff doesn't like him or that he's not going to play. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I don't know that the staff and maybe even his teammates are as high on him as some of the fans. Meaning, I think Kamari Moulton could easily overtake him for that second spot. And chances are they're going to need all four of those guys, because that's a position that, unfortunately, it seems like guys go down a lot. There have been the claims that the turf monster has gotten them, the artificial turf at Kinnick. Maybe there's substance to that. Maybe there's not. But I guess the good news, 1 week in, Mark, I haven't heard of any serious injuries. So we'll see. We got an open practice Saturday, but so far so good on that front.
Casey, thank you so much for encouraging everyone to hit the like button. Folks, it's an easy thing to do. Please hit the like button. What that does, it doesn't stroke our ego. It tells YouTube that people actually enjoy the content. Therefore, they will push it out into traffic. That's what that does. And also subscribe here at the Voice of College Football. We're close to 4,000, I believe, in terms of subscribers. So please subscribe, and also consider contributing here at the Voice of College Football. Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. Just make sure that you say that it's for the Iowa show, and you can get that link down in the description section. And of course, the super chat is available as well. And you're saying Saturday is the Kids Day, Media Day festivities.
Friday is Media Day. Saturday is Kids Day. I'll be in Iowa City for both. And we'll get an opportunity to talk with Kirk and all the assistants. So I'll have to talk to you off camera, because this is the week where I am going to finalize my copy of questions that I want to make sure that I get out. And we get a lot of time. I'm really thankful to Iowa that they give us as much time with the players and with the coaches. We get Kirk in front of the podium, and I'm sure that'll be live streamed on the Iowa Athletics YouTube channel. But then we'll get all the coaches out on the practice field, which is great. So I'm looking forward to it. And it's one of the best. It's my favorite. Honestly, it's my favorite day of the year to cover Iowa the way I cover it, because it's so much different. I mean, I'm not there every week, and I throughout the season, Iowa does a great job of making players available. But this is really and they do a great job hosting the media. They serve great food, drink. Um, get to be in the awesome facility there in the north end zone that has been renovated these recent years. So it's I'm looking forward to this next weekend.
I warned you at one point that I wanted you to go through both sides of the football and make statistical predictions. Do you need to see more, hear more from camp, think about it a little bit more?
Statistical predictions? You want me to start rattling off what I was going to average per game on the ground or something, or what?
Like, I want you to go through the three running backs
Okay.
to say this is what they're going to do this year.
I'm
Leshon Williams is going to run for 910 yards and about 7 touchdowns and 4.9 yards per carry, something like that.
So I've never been I'm fine with doing that, and I got a lot of things I wanna get done here in the next couple of weeks. I've never been a stats guy. Like, I've never been somebody who
I'm a stats guy.
you are a stats guy. Like, I don't even know I know if a running back hits 1,000 yards in a season, that's solid at the college level, but, like, I don't know how many guys nationally do that each and every year, and I don't know what like, I know like, honestly, all I have to base expectations on for Iowa is Iowa, because 'cause I'm not combing through all these different games and performances and stat sheets and box scores across the country on a week in, week out basis. So, like, if Iowa can average close to 4 yards per game on the ground or better during Big Ten play, then things are going to be looking up. And by the way, Leshon Williams is on that Doak Walker Award watch list. You've got Logan Jones, who was he first team? He was all Big Ten preseason. And then you had a couple other linemen. I think was Dunker on honorable mention or something or other. And then Kirk made the comments about, I think we've got 7 guys who are starter level dudes. I mean, all that combined, Mark, and then you look at the depth and the experience they have at running back. Is there any reason why they shouldn't be good on the ground? I mean, I'm not going to say great, but is there any reason they should not be good to very good on the ground this year? What other reasons do we have to not be good or great?
The only other reason would be that teams would stack the box and say, try to beat us on the outside. So we're going to make it more difficult for you to run.
All I know is, hey, all I know is year after year, Wisconsin had teams that stacked the box and they still imposed their will. When you have great O line play, yes, you can outman somebody up front and make it harder. But man, I saw, and these were guys, these are teams coached by the likes of Brett Bielema, Gary Anderson in recent years. What's his face from
Paul Christ.
Pitt, Paul Christ, whose name for some reason now always escapes me. Mark, they just got up there and ran the ball, whether you thought they could or not, and they did it well. Now they've had exceptional running backs, and maybe Iowa doesn't have that. And maybe I've said that before. That's one of the things I think Iowa has missed over the years is having just that one like Sean Green type of guy who actually won the Doak Walker Award. And maybe Leshon will turn into that. I don't. He's on the watch. He's not winning the Doak Walker Award. By the way, Abu Sama is also on that list. You know I'm a big Abu Sama fan. I'd love for Abu to transfer to Iowa.
Yeah, something's going wrong here when in more recent times, Iowa State, a rival, of course, can pick up all these excellent running backs, most of which I don't believe were highly touted. And then you point to Wisconsin. My goodness, you know, for the last zillion years. But if you go back to Sean Green as being the last great Iowa back, Wisconsin's rolled a conveyor belt of great running backs since then.
So
And
that's
why is Iowa not?
well, they've been we've went over this. They've been close. They were close on. They had Eno Benjamin committed. He was committed, and I think I'm trying to think of other guys that they've been really close on. But I do think that they've got some guys that maybe can emerge. I thought Caleb Johnson might end up being that guy, and I've just not seen him show the ability to put his foot in the ground and make guys miss. He's just go. He gets the ball and he just goes. And, that's what I like about if you could combine these guys, if you could combine the physicality of a Jazz Patterson and the open field speed of a Caleb Johnson and the the shiftiness and the patience and the vision of a Leshon Williams and maybe the heart of Kamari Moulton. I don't know. I like if you could combine all that, you'd have a Doak Walker Award winner right there. I think really those guys have excellent skill sets. It's just can somebody be the all Swiss Army knife type of guy? And Sean Green was that guy, right? And it's frustrating. I mean, they had Melvin Gordon. Wasn't he committed at one point? That's been so long ago. But I mean, go down the list of the Wisconsin guys: Gordon and James White and Agumba Wale and
Monte Ball.
Monte Ball and Braylon Allen. I mean, we could just be here all day. Clay, but I just think if 7 guys. I mean, if you have 7 starting level guys, unless injuries just absolutely decimate Iowa up front, then I think if they don't run the ball well this year, then there has to be a serious conversation from Kirk Ferentz's perspective. All right, not even taking into account what's happening with Tim Lester and his system. Obviously, that's a factor. But if Kirk Ferentz, who is an O-line guru, that's what he is known for, is O-line development, O-line play, coached offensive line with Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, and that Brown staff. He is an O-line guy by trade. If he still has not gotten this group to a point where they can, because I think the bigger issue, although they haven't had that All-American running back, the lines have not held up in the passing game or in the run game well enough. And Kirk has taken ownership of that. I mean, it's not like he's running away from that and saying the running back room needs to be better. He has consistently, even when quarterback play has suffered, he said, we need to be better up front. So in a way, he's taken a responsibility because he's acknowledged that O-line is what he knows. So I think if they don't run the ball well this year, and it's clear that the O-line is a big part of that, then Kirk needs to look at his own philosophy and say, okay, what's not working here? Because we've spent too long and maybe the game has changed to where, I know we keep hearing about maybe more gap concepts with this new offense. They ran a little bit more gap last year. You saw more counter action that helped at times, but the consistency of being able to consistently punch for 3 to 5 yards as opposed to the negative 2 to 3 yard losses that Iowa seems to suffer from year after year. That's going to be the key, I think, to make this running game successful and get that average to where it should be.